UFC Fight Night prediction time. It's UFC 140, Magny versus Ponzinibbio. It's in Buenos Aires, Argentina. Let's start at the top of the card. Neil Magny takes on the local favourite, Santiago Ponzinibbio. Rob, what have you got for me here in your main event?
It's the first fight card in Argentina, and of course they have Ponzinibbio headlining it. Good idea. He's the Argentinian star. Here, I'm just going to go straight into it. I fancy Ponzinibbio to win this one. I'm sure he's the favourite. I'd imagine so. But I just think it's actually a pretty good fight for him. Like, Magny does struggle sometimes with really good strikers who can close the distance on him. He does fight well from range, but Ponzinibbio's footwork is really, really good. He's a good kicker. You saw that in his last fight where he was landing those low kicks, especially that low calf kick that was really hurting his opponent. And I think he can work that against Magny because, you know, what's the old adage with these long, rangy, tall fighters with the skinny legs, like the John Jones, like, chop his leg. Chop his leg. But I think that does work with Magny. I think when Magny was fighting RDA, as far as I remember, early in the first round, RDA landed a big leg kick that actually took his legs from underneath him and got on top, and that's when he finished it. So I do like Ponzinibbio here. I think the way he closes distance with his hands can cause problems for Magny, and that's why I'll be leaning towards Ponzinibbio. But it's not a given, you know. Ponzinibbio got a little bit lucky in his last one against Gunnar Nelson, I thought, with that eye poke. But he is an excellent fighter, and I don't think he can take that away from him.
Yeah, Ponzinibbio, he's got that reach. It was actually he fought Mike Perry in between that as well. He's beat Mike Perry.
That's where he was throwing the kicks. And he was really damaging him.
Yeah, the UFC are smart here. Ponzinibbio, it made sense to get him in here. Originally, I think he was down to fight Kamaru Usman a while back. That bout got cancelled. So coming to Argentina, it makes sense. They do it on most cards where they go. They load the card with that area. And Ponzinibbio, in fairness to him, he's on a winning streak here. Like he's on like a 6 or 7 fight win streak.
I don't think he's had a signature win though for me. Like, I think like Gunnar's a good win, but there's an asterisk on that.
Yeah, big time.
And then the rest, like Perry's still developing. There is definitely some good wins there, but I think like if you actually look at resumes, I think you have to say Magny's is probably a better resume. I think he's beaten the better guys. He's been in there with the better guys. But that doesn't always mean, you know, that he's gonna win. And that's why I'm picking Ponzinibbio. But I think that's a point. Yeah,
and as well, like Magny coming into the Lions Den, if you like, in Buenos Aires is a big thing. But like, if you look at him, his last fight, a big victory over Craig White, and he absolutely dominated.
Short notice, wasn't it?
Yeah, short notice. Dominated that fight, like from beginning bell to end. He got a win and broke my heart over Carlos Condit last time as well at UFC 219. So like, it does. One thing I will always say about Neil Magny when I watch Neil Magny fight, I'll bring it back to video games references. He's the Dal Sim of Street Fighter. Yeah. He's that long, reachy, rangy fighter, but he's got sharp elbows. He's been caught with them as well. I remember Lorenz Larkin absolutely tore him apart with elbows. But Magny, for me here, he's a strong underdog, I think is the easiest way. Or Ponzinibbio is a strong favourite in this one, and I think that's warranted. I think it comes with a reason. I actually think, as much as Magny is the bigger man in height, I actually think just Ponzinibbio is the thicker guy.
Yeah, like I think if it gets into a grappling situation, like Magny's a good grappler. He's not great off his back, like he'll throw up submissions, but he's almost one of them guys who we don't complain about what we talk about, where they'll look for submissions over regaining their position. And if you're coming up against a really, really good grappler, kind of like last weekend in the Dariush fight, where he fought a guy who's a really good grappler, but you have Dariush on top who's just as good or better, so they can keep position. And I think it'd be similar to here. Like, Ponzinibbio is not the best grappler in the world, but if he gets on top, I think he's strong enough to keep position, probably land some good shots.
As well, it's nearly a year. It'll be 11 months that Ponzinibbio has been out. Will that come into play?
And Magny's always active as well.
And it's one thing, like, you always talk about, you know, the hometown favourite and stuff like that. That also brings, I think, an element of pressure. So it'll be interesting to see how Ponzinibbio goes with that. It's historic. Like, if you look, Chris Weidman fought for so long, and I don't mean actual fighting in the cage, I mean outside the cage with politicians and the people that matter in New York, to get UFC into New York, and he hasn't had a good time in the Garden.
No. Yeah, and I'm sure that pressure's real. I think that's a good point. But also you have to talk about, what is that travel like down to Argentina? I'm not sure. Like, is a lot of guys who travel from the US to Brazil, they have trouble down in Brazil. Is that like a jet lag issue? You know, that kind of stuff. I'm sure it's not nice traveling to fight. So I'm sure Ponzinibbio's training there. He's local. I don't know where his actual camp is, but I'm sure he's moved it there at least for a few weeks, if not. So, yeah, I'm going to go with Ponzinibbio here. And I'm going to say a finish. I'm going to say he finishes him by some kind of strikes. I don't think it's like a clean KO, but some kind of strikes, ground and pound after knocking him down, something like that, mid three.
I'm exactly the same toss frame there about round 3. Sean in the background, what are you getting on this one, Sean?
Ponzinibbio is a very strong favourite with the bookies, 1.36 roughly. I'm going to go Ponzinibbio TKO round 2.
Nice.
Round 2. Sean is going to throw the odds at you if you're into the gambling form.
Neil Magny is a big enough underdog, around 5-2, 3.5.
If you fancy Neil Magny, go for it.
There's a flutter. Your co-main event sees Ricardo the Bully Lamas taking on Darren the Damage Elkins.
The damage.
Worst
tattoo in MMA, maybe?
Yeah, well, it could be worse. He could have
Colin
just
Fletcher.
bleed across his...
Colin Fletcher, maybe. Yeah. His one's pretty bad.
But yeah, Darren Elkins. The Ricardo Lamas has got to be careful here to not hurt Darren Elkins early in this fight, because Elkins will have him exactly where he wants him. It's a really weird thing that Darren Elkins has. It's like it's not even heart. It's like a wolf when the full moon comes out. He just don't hit him and you'll probably beat him. I know that sounds ridiculous, but I
know what you mean.
These are the type of fights though that when he gets hurt, he absolutely just...
The Bektic one is the one that stands out. That's the big one, isn't it?
Insane.
But how many of them can you have?
That's my point.
Yeah.
Again, previously we'll always talk about your chin has an expiry date, and I just think there's a button and you can only press it too many times before it goes away. And is that coming near its expiry date for Darren Elkins? But Ricardo Lamas on the other side, Josh Emmett, a former guest of the show, again on our old platform. If you look at the knockout that Josh Emmett landed on Ricardo Lamas that night, like that one is one to come back from and try to recover. He lost then against Bexic, so they've shared an opponent. So MMA Mats says Darren Elkins all night long.
Yeah, it does. But like if you're looking this on paper, skill for skill, I think this is a terrible match for Elkins. Like
I agree, totally.
Terrible match for Elkins. Lamas isn't the world's greatest wrestler, but he's good. Maybe just as good as Elkins, maybe slightly worse, but I think his takedown defense is there. I don't think Elkins is going to dominate the wrestling. On the feet, I think Lamas all day. I don't really see where Elkins wins the fight on the feet. So I just think skill for skill, Lamas wins this fight, but that's not always the story with Darren Elkins.
It's a fight that I think you can almost compare these two. Darren Elkins is quite a throwback style fighter, similar to Jason Knight.
Yeah,
he can be a bit wild, a bit crazy in there, but it works for him. Yeah, and Lamas looked great against Jason Knight.
Yeah.
I know they're very different in how they approach, but I just mean the mentality and how wild they can be, and just fucking nuts, let's be honest. But when you were talking about resumes with Neil Magny earlier, when you look at who Ricardo Lamas has fought recently, like Charles Oliveira, Max Holloway, Diego Sanchez, Chad Mendez, Dennis Bermudez, that's it with even scrolling down on Tapology. So he's been in there with the best, but as you rightly said as well, just because you fought the best doesn't mean you're a better fighter. But Darren Elkins, he's sort of the guy that his corner probably going, Darren, keep your hands up, mate. Just like, come on, let's go at it different this time. And I'm sure he has game plans. I'm sure he has that. Forrest Griffin used to openly speak about he wasn't in a fight until he got blood on him. And Darren Elkins is 100%. The man has the damage tattooed across his chest. You know what I mean? He lives and breathes by this. He lives and breathes by this. You're really opposed to his tattoo.
I don't like it now. I don't like it. I'm not a big fan.
But he lives and dies by that mentality. So
it's one of these ones where like you cannot count Darren Elkins out. And if you want to gamble, we'll let Sean give you the odds down in a second. If you want to gamble, maybe Elkins will be a good bet because I'm sure he's the underdog, I'm sure. But it's one of them ones where you mentioned it a while ago where Lamas got knocked out 2 fights ago and was a bad knockout. It was like one of the worst ones that you could see. But he came back against Bektic and he got hit a few times and he looked fine. He lost that fight against a really, really good guy. And I thought he recovered, as in he didn't look like he was gone. So I thought that's a good thing coming into this one. His chin isn't gone as far as we're seeing. So with that said, I think there's enough there to say I think his skills will get him through this one. So I'm going to say Ricardo Lamas wins. Probably by decision because Elkins is just notoriously hard to finish.
Sean, what are the odds on what's your pick, my friend?
The odds on Darren Elkins are, the fine people of Paddy Power have Elkins priced up at 9-4, while Lamas is 4-11.
So he's a big favourite.
Yeah, I'm going to go Ricardo Lamas by decision or late TKO.
Sweet.
Hmm.
I like it.
Cal Roundtree takes on Johnny Walker. I'm sure people will be cheersing to that one.
Jesus. I know, Johnny Walker, drink.
Yeah, well done, Rob. don't cheat on my jokes. What are you thinking of this one, Rob?
It's one, to me, it's one of them ones where it's almost like that those two big heavyweight hitters going in there, as in the big punchers. Don't mean the literal heavyweights, but the big punchers who go in there, and you're kind of like, you know, who lands the big shot wins. For me, it's almost like that kind of toss-up. Johnny Walker, I went back and watched some of his fights, and he's kind of that flashy guy who throws these jumping in knees to the face, throws in jumping kicks. He also has this weird thing where he throws a flying knee followed by a head kick, which is like a combination you don't see much. Roundtree, of course, shocked the world of sorts when he beat Saki. Which in MMA, you know, Saki isn't the best MMA fighter in the world, but if you're gonna finish him,
elite,
elite kickboxer. So if you're gonna finish him, that's a feather in your cap. But to me, this one, I really think it's who's gonna land. And gee, like, to be honest, I don't know. Roundtree, I'll pick Roundtree just for the experience in the octagon. But to be honest, I can't really see where. I think it's just gonna be a striking fight, and whoever lands wins.
And that's you're talking about flashy Johnny Walker being flashy and landing these type of shots. This was when he was fighting Keigon Saki, Roundtree. Yeah. Everybody just thought, you're standing with him, and he absolutely floored him. Yeah. So I think a lot of people slept on Roundtree's striking. But I agree, although it's at 205, it is like the two big swingers. You know what I mean? Who can swing the hammer heaviest? I'm going to flip the coin, and it's going to land on Roundtree for me. Yeah. I honestly think I slept on him because I was getting like all fanboyish waiting to see Saki fight. Yeah. And he absolutely annihilated him. Yeah. Absolutely. And it was a beautiful it wasn't like a lucky punch. Yeah. Like, it was
that'll give him confidence as well, which is always a big thing in these fights.
But yeah, so I'll go around. What are the odds on this one, Sean? And what's your pick?
On this one, priced up the exact same as the Lamas and Elkins fight, 4-11 on Khalil Roundtree and 9-4 on Walker. I'm also going to go with the outsider. Going to go Walker, just because I feel bad for him that he hasn't got his own graphic on the UFC website.
I used this. Remember, my first time I ever used this was with Mike Perry. He's making his debut. I'm going with the Shadow. I'm going with the Shadow.
The man of Shadow.
The man of Shadow.
You don't know what's coming.
Yeah. Genius.
I knew there was a reason why we brought him on the show. Up next, we got Cesar Ferreira taking on Ian Heinisch.
Great stuff. Huge step up for Heinisch. He's not like the Hector Lombard guy who's really small for the weight class, but he will be quite undersized here, I think. I think he's like 5'11", and I think there's like a 7-inch reach disadvantage for him in this one against a guy in Ferreira who, you know, he's not a world beater, but he's a guy who can fight well at range. He's a big puncher, has good kicks and has good grappling. One thing I did notice, and I'll just go quick on this one. One thing I did notice about Heinisch was that every fight I watched, I think I watched like 3 fights and a few highlight reels of him, but every fight I watched, he gave up his back in the same way all the time. And I'm sure this is something that he's probably fixed, but I just thought it was very strange that in all the fights he gave up his back. And if you're giving up your back to someone like Ferreira, who's, I think his submission game is really, really good, but his ground and pound game is really, really good as well. But I think people don't really think about that. They almost see him as a striker. But if you watch some of his last fights where he gets top control, he can cause a lot of damage there, and I think Heinisch got away with that against some of the guys he fought previously, where he gave his back up and the guys were just looking for chokes or something. I think Ferreira, with his size, he's a big dude for the division with his size, and if he flattens him out on the floor, I think he can do a lot of damage. So I'm going to go with Ferreira to win, Montanche as they call him, to win by a second round TKO. It's also really short notice. I think it's like a week short notice.
Yeah, Tom Brazier was originally the fight. Yeah, Heinisch he's coming in from the Dana White's Contender Series, and believe it or believe it not, Rob, I actually seen this fight in Dana White's Contender Series. I think it's probably the only fight I've actually.
I think he gave up his back in that one as well.
I think so. I can't remember it all that, but I just remember the finish.
I just seen it. Yeah,
I just remember the finish. Yeah. So I'm gonna go with, it's a weird one because I remember Paul Redmond fought in the UFC. He's fought in KSW. He's fought in Bellator. I think he fights in Bellator now, and he fought BAMAC. He's fought everywhere. Redzer, Dublin guy, great little fighter. I remember when he spoke about getting offered his first fight in the UFC, and he was like,
he cut shit on a
he was nowhere near weight. but he felt too big of an opportunity to turn down
Yeah.
the UFC. I wonder, is this the case here for Ian?
It might be, yeah, because he probably wasn't signed to a contract, was he? Coming off that?
I don't think he was one of the signees.
Yeah, so that makes sense.
So it could be a late notice. So he's coming in here, chip on shoulder, wanting to make a statement. He's going to make a statement at the weekend.
Oh.
Going to give up his back, and he's going to reverse it.
As he always does.
And he's going to elbow some guard.
I swear to God, if he gives up his back and that happens, I'll be like, here, lads, bet on me. Just bet on me.
Yeah. But yeah, it's sure not his fight. But again, I think he's just grabbing the opportunity.
Yeah. Sean?
I'm going to go with Ferreira as well. I think it's going to be hard for Heinisch to make weight like Noel was saying.
Yeah, big stocky guy as well.
This one actually isn't priced up because obviously Tom Breeze was supposed to take the fight. Tom Breeze is still on the graphics on the UFC website. So
is he?
Well done to the UFC website guy.
Well done, UFC website, running this show.
Yeah.
Jeez, one job, UFC. Sorry, I'm on the wrong page. Next up, we have Guti Kaniti taking on Marlon Vera.
In this one, I think this is a well-matched fight. I like Vera. I think Vera is a good kicker. So is Canetti. Canetti's actually a really, really good kicker, but he's that guy, if you rewatch his fights, he's that guy who really likes to fight at range, like way at range with his kicks. His hands aren't that great. And looking back at Vera's last fight where he dropped his opponent, I can't remember his opponent's name, I do apologise, with a lovely liver shot, a little left hook to the body. It was beautiful. And I think Canetti, if Canetti fights completely at range and Vera lets him, he can have success. He has really strong leg kicks and kicks to the head. And of course, if you remember Vera's fight with Brad Pickett, a head kick as well, which was beautiful. But I just think that Vera is just a more dynamic striker here. He has the better grappling. And he has tricky subs as well. I think he triangled Brian Kelleher off his back or armbarred him. So yeah, I'm going to go with Vera in this one. I just think he's the more diverse striker. Like if Canetti fights where he's best, he can win the fight, I think. But I think if Vera can fight more flowy, as they say, he'll win the fight.
Great stuff. Come here, I have a question for you.
Yeah.
Sort of off topic, but not. It's bang on topic.
Yeah.
A lot of 35ers now, they sort of need wins because there's going to be a lot of skinny
It's gonna be,
25ers putting
it's gonna be a log
eating
jam,
big
isn't there?
Christmas dinners.
Yeah, there's going to be a logjam there. Yeah, that's a good point. And that they're probably going to be really, really motivated to win this one because, all of a sudden you'll have a big load of 25ers coming in and then your rankings will probably change based on that. So yeah. Good point.
I'm going with Marlon Vera here as well. I think I'm right in saying, Sean, I think he's a big favourite in this one on the PP bookmakers as well, is he?
So Vera is 3-10 while Cadetti is 5-2.
Well, I didn't even see the odds. I'm just picking the big favourites.
Oh yeah, big favourites, Rob.
I said I didn't see the odds, so it's not intentional.
You were looking at them earlier. Cynthia Carvillo opens the card against Poliana Patiello. Am I saying that?
Yeah,
Patiello. It's Mexico versus Brazil, although they will tell you it's United States versus Brazil on the UFC website. Carvillo, it was the big hype machine, weren't they? They were really jumping behind her and
I
getting
think I picked her for like fight of a breakout fighter of the year or something.
Well, look, listen, the way I look at it now is look what your breakout fighter done last week.
Yeah. Yeah, that's very true.
So this was your 2018 breakout fighter, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. She has 2 fights in 2018.
Great stuff.
God damn it. But she's gonna win this one. And she's gonna no. So this is a tough one as well for Carvillo. Like she's coming back and she's getting somebody who's been on a bit of a run. And she's been off for a long time. It's gonna be like a year, is it? About a year that she's been off. The problem with Carvillo in her last fight, I thought, was that she went to her grappling in the first round against Esparza and she timed a lovely takedown against a really good wrestler. Yeah. And it was like, there we go, there's your takedown. And then in the second and third round, she started to strike with Esparza and she barely even went for takedowns as far as I remember. She might have went for a couple, but she didn't go for too many. And I really think Carvillo is that type of fighter who she needs takedowns to win fights because her grappling is just so good. It's excellent. But one thing I did like, I was watching a James Lynch interview, shout out to James Lynch, and he had Carvillo on, and she was talking about this. She said that she fell in love with her striking a little bit. She wanted to showcase it, and then she ran out of time, which is exactly, I think, how we said that she lost the fight, how we kind of judged it. She just ran out of time because she was trying to work on her striking. So I like that. At least she knows now, go for takedowns. I think that's what she's going to do here.
Yeah, your big pick as well. She was, and a lot of hype behind it. She looks the part for the UFC promotional outlet. No, but I think she's more than that as well.
Yeah. I'd say the same about Botelho, to be fair. Like,
yeah, but Botelho, she's got finishes in it. Something that you don't really like. KO finishes, TKO finishes. When you look down her record, she's finished a lot of her fights.
Yeah.
Switch at the weight class, it's not something you see. TKO, KOs a lot. You see a lot of submissions.
Yeah, she's a really big puncher. Like, some of her finishes have been vicious. She fights real low. Like, she's tall, but she fights real low, which is probably to defend takedowns. And all the fights that I've seen her with, it seemed like her takedown defense was really good. But all them takedowns are coming against the cage. So if it's like a situation where they're up against the cage, clinching, maybe she'll defend it there. But I think Pearl, because I was going to say Pearl. Yeah. I think Cavillo has really good takedowns inside the middle of the cage, not just on the cage. We've seen in the Pearl Gonzalez fight, when Botelho was fighting, she had her up against the cage for like the whole thing, and the fans were going insane. But I don't think it's going to happen here. And I'm going to go with Cavillo. I think it's a bit of a tough pick to make, because as well, like she's training Team Alpha Male, but Buckles is still our head coach, which is kind of weird. He's not in Team Alpha Male anymore, so I don't know how that's working. But I'm going to go for Cavillo. Come on, I need to go with the pick that I made in early 2018.
I'm going against you.
Yeah, that's a good pick. I think it's a tough fight.
I am going against you. I'm going for the hello on this one. Yeah. I think
be interesting to see the odds on this.
Oh, Sean, tell me the odds. But no, my reason being is I just think she has finishes in her.
I agree.
Yeah, and I don't think there's like, again, I'm getting away. I don't think there's submission finishes. I think she can keep it standing, and I think she'll win decision, but it'll be a one-way ass whooping decision.
Wow. Nice.
30-26.
Ooh, jeez.
And
hurting me, man.
Then Adelaide Board will score 30-26 for Cavillo. Yeah, go on. Sorry, Sean. Odds.
That's Rob's first underdog pick.
Ooh.
Wow. I had a feeling.
So I'm back in the favourite.
Yeah, so Cavillo backed is Cavillo is 11-10, while Cadello is 8-11.
Huh.
Basically pick him.
Still
it is a pick 'em. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good fight. And I agree with it. I think Botelho should be the favourite. She's the active one. But yeah.
The active one.